All right, so let's get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Tao Yang. I'm a Microsoft Cloud and Data Center MVP. So today's topic is automating OpsLogix Oracle Management Pack configuration use Azure Automation and SharePoint. So as Mark already explained who OpsLogix are and what they do, so I'm going to skip this slide. Just a little bit about myself, if you guys don't know me. So I'm an independent consultant running my own company. I'm a cloud and data center MVP, and I spend most of my time working on System Center and OMS. And I also do a lot of work around SCOM management pack development. So some of you guys might have already used my management packs before, such as the self maintenance pack for SCOM, etc. So today's agenda, I'm going to talk about the prerequisite in order to make this self-service portal for the OpsLogix Oracle MP, and then I'm going to give you a live demo, like from how do I create this demo from scratch. And in the end, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Okay. So firstly, the OpsLogix Oracle Management Pack provides several monitoring templates. So these templates enables Oracle DBAs to define their own monitoring criteria, but the limitation for using the management pack templates in SCOM is that only SCOM admins can create those instances. So this one might become an issue where, like, Oracle DBAs want to when they need to define the monitoring criteria, they need to engage the SCOM admin, or they need to have the SCOM admin access in your environment. So therefore, this is the purpose for today. I'm building a self-service portal for Oracle DBA. That's the portal is linked to a Azure Automation runbook, which kicks off the script that creates the monitoring template instances. So by using the self-service portal, then SCOM admins don't need to get involved when SQL DBAs need to create those instances. So this will enable SCOM admins to do more important tasks. Okay, so this is the workflow. This is how this portal is going to work. So firstly, a DBA will fill out a request through a SharePoint list. This SharePoint can be either on-prem SharePoint 2013 site, or you can use SharePoint Online, so it doesn't really matter which version of SharePoint you use. And then a SharePoint workflow that's linked to this SharePoint list will trigger a webhook. This webhook will trigger a Azure Automation runbook. And this runbook will run on your hybrid worker in your on-prem environment, and then which will create a template instance in SCOM. So this is the workflow we're going to design today. And lastly, when it's completed, the runbook will also update the SharePoint list item with the status and showing it's completed or failed. Okay, so this is what the self-service portal will look like. As I mentioned, you can either use on-prem SharePoint 2013 or use SharePoint Online. Then we're going to use the Azure Automation as the automation engine. We must use the hybrid worker in this scenario because we're connecting to your SCOM environment, which is located on your on-prem network. And lastly, and obviously, we're going to need the OpsLogix Oracle Management Pack loaded in your SCOM 2012 environment. Okay, so why am I using SharePoint? With SharePoint, I find it's really user-friendly, and it's really easy to design a form, a list. and it's really common in most of the enterprises. Many obviously many companies I've worked for, they all have SharePoint, um, and it also has a very powerful workflow engine that supports the SharePoint. So building as a part of the SharePoint. So, and this is what we're going to utilize today as well. And so, why am I using Azure Automation? Because this, the best of the breed at this stage. It supports native PowerShell runbooks, and it supports custom PowerShell modules. We use two of those today, and it supports webhooks. So basically, enables you to initiate a kickoff a runbook just by using a plain HTTP post request. And it's also, we can also extend that the automation capability to on-prem environment using the Azure Automation hybrid workers. And by placing multiple hybrid workers in the same group, we achieve high availability out of the box. Okay, so these are some of the prerequisites. We need SharePoint. We need to have a Azure Automation account. We need to have a OMS workspace, which and that connects to your Azure Automation account. This is required to register hybrid workers, and obviously we need one or more hybrid workers in your on-prem environment, preferably somewhere close to your SCOM management service. We need the OpsLogix Oracle Management Pack loaded, and we also need two service accounts that's going to be used when setting up connections in Azure Automation. So we need one that must have access to manage the particular SharePoint list, and we also have a service account in SCOM that must have SCOM admin rights. Okay, we also need some modules, PowerShell modules. Um, these two modules are both written by myself. So the first one is called SharePoint SDK. Only a few days ago, I've updated a new version, which is posted on PowerShell Gallery or GitHub. So you can go to either places and grab the module from there. And also, we need another module called Ops Manager Extended. So this one was written a while back, and you can download from my company's website. So we need both modules to be loaded in Azure Automation and also on a hybrid worker in order to run those runbooks. So when you copy the modules to hybrid worker, you please make sure that you copy them to see Windows PowerShell v1.0 modules, because I found when a hybrid worker execute runbooks, the PowerShell, the PS module path, in that context is different than the ones that you run when you run your script manually. So normally I prefer to copy that to C program files, Windows PowerShell module folder. But when you execute runbooks in your hybrid worker, that path on the C program files is actually not in the PS module path. So please make sure you copy all these modules on the C Windows System 32 Windows PowerShell version 1.0 modules folder. We also need SharePoint Designer, so it's a free download. We need to use SharePoint Designer to design the SharePoint workflow, and I'm going to use a optional component called Azure Automation Authoring Toolkit. Basically, this is an add-on to the PowerShell IIC, which enables you to design, create, and attach to run PowerShell runbooks. Sorry, your Azure Automation runbooks from PowerShell IIC. So you can, again, you can download from either GitHub or PowerShell Gallery, and once you install the module, just run install Azure Automation IC add-on command to enable this plugin. Okay, so lastly, other slides and also all the runbooks and the scripts I'm going to be using in this webinar is going to be placed in this GitHub repository. Currently, I've marked as a private. So after this webinar, I'm going to open access, change that to public so everyone can access it. Okay, so let's get started with the demo. So firstly, we need to install these two modules I was talking about to your Azure Automation account and also on a hybrid worker. So as you can see, I have already got that installed. It's SharePoint SDK here, and also OpsManager extended. So if you want to install for the SharePoint SDK, you can simply go to PowerShell Gallery and find this SharePoint SDK module just by using search, and use this button here called Deploy to Azure Automation to automatically install this module to your automation account. For the OpsManager extended module, unfortunately, I did not put that on PowerShell Gallery or GitHub. So you can go to my company's website to fill out your information and then click on send, and then the download link is going to appear at the bottom of this page, and then you can just download the zip file and then upload it to your Azure Automation. So for your hybrid worker, so basically you just need to go to the C Windows System 32 Windows PowerShell v1.0 modules folder and unzip that zip file and place the folder, the module folder here. So the SharePoint SDK, as you can see, is in here, and the OpsManager extended module is here as well. Okay. So now that we have imported the modules, let's firstly start by creating two Azure Automation connections to my SharePoint and to my OpsManager environment. So I'm doing so by going to Asset and then go to Connections. I'm going to add a new connection. For the SharePoint one, I'm going to call it SP_OpsLogix demo, and the type is called SharePoint SDK. And I'm going to use a SharePoint Online site. Because it's SharePoint Online, so I'm going to choose True. If it's on-prem SharePoint, you must choose False. Please be aware this is really important because the authentication method used by SharePoint Online and SharePoint on-prem is actually different. So the SharePoint SDK module requires this parameter to determine how it authenticates to your SharePoint environment. Okay, username and password. All right, now let's do another one for OpsManager. I'm going to call it OM_OpsLogix demo. And the type is Operations Manager SDK. This is the computer name. This is which is one of my management service. And the username is what I created in my ID and password. Okay, so now I have two connections created. I can start with the runbooks. So to create the runbooks, I'm going to show you how to do it in PowerShell IIC. As you can see, I've got the Azure Automation IC add-on already loaded, and I've already signed in using my credential to my Azure subscription. And I can once you authenticate it, you can choose which subscription you want to manage and which automation account. So once you select that, it's going to load all your runbooks and also all your assets in here as well, which you can utilize when you design your runbooks. Okay, so I'm going to create a new runbook. It's going to called uh, Oracle Perf Template Demo, and this is just going to be a straight PowerShell script runbook. And for the content of the runbook, just going to copy paste in here. So basically, because it's going to be triggered using a webhook, so the parameter object is just we're just going to have one parameter that takes all the webhook data, and then we're going to extract the variables that that's passed into this to this script from the webhook HTTP body. So we're going to the HTTP webhook data.request body, and then because it's JSON format, we're going to convert that from JSON, and then just takes all the input parameters and place them into variables. So once I got all the variables from webhook, I'm going to connect to my SCOM environment using the connection object that I've just created. Um, as you can see, that's the name of the connection I've just created here. So, and then if the webhook is also passing the list item ID and the list title, this which is the SharePoint list item, then I'm going to also connect that, get a connection for the SharePoint connection I've just created. So, and then I've hard-coded some of some parameters such as what's the management pack I'm going to be using to store these instances, and also that when the instance is created, the management pack version number is going to be increased as well. So so firstly, what I'm doing is connect to my SCOM environment and then try to find the management pack. If the management pack is found, great, I'm going to use that one. Otherwise, if the management pack is not found, I'm going to create a new management pack with that name. So you don't really have to pre-create a management pack. The runbook is going to take care of that. And then start the process of creating this instance template instances. So the actual code is written was um, originally developed as a PowerShell function. I posted on my blog I think about a month ago on how to create those instances uh, for this particular management pack. So you can you can find them on my blog. Just go to my blog and search for OpsLogix Oracle. You should be able to find it, and it's also located on GitHub. The link is on my blog. So yeah, so after everything is created, I'm going to increase the management pack version, verify the management pack, accept the changes, and then when the template instance is created, I'm going to go back to my SharePoint list and then mark the result, mark a field that I've defined as completed. So basically, this is the runbook. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to upload it to my automation account. As you can see on the bottom of the page is uploading right now. This will probably just take a few seconds. Okay, so now it's uploaded. It's by default it's like a new or draft format, so state. So I have to publish it. So make sure it's published. All right. So now if I go back to my automation account, and let me just refresh it. Yep. As you can see, the new one has been created and the state is published. So another thing I want to create for this Runbox is a webhook. So a webhook enables an external system to trigger this Runbox using HTTP request. So I'm just going to create a new one. It's going to give a name and make sure it's enabled. By default, the expiry date is 1 year from now, which is okay. The URL, you make sure you copy the URL um, on this screen here, because the URL is please make sure you treat the URL as your credential, because when users are triggering this webhook, it doesn't require users to authenticate. So um, if you expose this URL to other people, then everyone can start your Runbox, which is probably something not desired. And by design, once you click OK and go past this screen, you will not able to see the URL for this webhook anymore. So make sure you grab the URL on this screen here. And also I need to make sure the hybrid worker um, is the Runbox is run on a hybrid worker, and make sure you choose the appropriate hybrid worker group. And the other thing, please make sure that when you write your Runbox, make sure the webhook data parameter is an optional parameter. So if you make that a mandatory parameter, you won't be able to go past this screen here. You must provide a value which is not desired. So make sure you configure that as an optional parameter in your Runbox. Okay, now I can just go create. Let's do it again. Let's change the name. All right. Draw hybrid worker. Okay, now it's created. Okay, so now we can start creating a SharePoint list. So I'm going to my Office 365 SharePoint Online site, and by creating a list, I go to Site Content. Actually, before I do that, I just want to make sure that I'll show you what fields I'm going to create. So if you go to SCOM, and you I'm I'm going to create one for the performance collection rules for Oracle. So if you go to this template in SCOM, you can see that the fields that we need to provide for this to create an instance, we need to provide the name field, description field, and a tick box identifying whether the workflows are enabled or disabled, and also we need to provide a management pack. So I'm just going to do. And also we need to provide counter name, query, return column name, the target, which is a list, and the query interval, which is just a numeric value. So as I've shown you before, that I've hard-coded the management pack to be used to store the template instance. So when I create the SharePoint list, I'm not going to create a field, a column for the management pack, but for all other fields, that's going to be populated through the SharePoint list. just going to click cancel, and you can see that right now there's nothing created under this template anyway. And anyway, so we're going to go back here later after everything is done, and then you can see this one created. Okay, so I'm going to create an app in SharePoint. I'm going to use the custom list, and with the custom list, I'm just going to give a name called OpsLogix Oracle Perform Perf Rule Request Demo. Okay, now it's created. I'm just going to go back to the settings, and for all the SharePoint list, when you create, there's going to be one default column. It's called title. This is just a default column that comes with every SharePoint list. I'm going to rename this one and change that to display name. And it's a required column. We don't enforce unique values, and everything else is fine. So I'm just going to click OK. And I'm going to create a few more. The first one I'm going to create is a description. And description is going to be a multi-line text, and it's not required. So I'm going to make sure no is chosen here, and I just need plain text. I don't need rich text format. And the next one I'm going to do is called query counter name. Counter name is going to be a single line text, and it is a required field. All right. Next one is query. Query is a multi-line text. Oops, it's a multi-line text, and it's a required field. Oops, actually I made a mistake. Need a plain text. Let's go back there and make sure everything's okay. Yep. Okay. No text required. Next one, we need the return column name. It's a single line text, and it is a required field. The next one is the target. So we're going to call it rule target. It's a choice. So basically, it's a drop-down list enables us to choose. I'm just going to copy paste. Oops. All right. So for this one, it is required, and we don't enforce unique values. It's a drop-down menu, and we don't allow people to fill in their own choices. So, and the next one is going to be called query interval seconds. It's a numeric value, so we can choose number. And it is required. And by doing in here, we can put in some custom rules here. Like for example, if you don't want the performance collection rules to run too often in your SCOM environment, you can specify a minimum and maximum value in here. So for example, say I want to say the minimum should be every 2 minutes. So people, Oracle DBAs cannot say every 30 seconds I want to collect this counter. So I'm just going to put a 120 here, which is 120 seconds. And then the maximum, for example, you want to say the maximum is a half hour. So I'll put 1800 here. Number of decimal places is going to be 0. and default number. You can choose a default value. As we know that, as we saw just now, the default value in the template in SCOM is 900. So I'm going to put 900 here, and click OK. And then the next one is called unable. It's the enabled field. I'm just going to call it rule monitor enabled by default is a checkbox, and the default value is yes. So the next one I'm going to create is just a single line text field called automation status. So this is the field that the Runbox is going to write back to at the end of the execution. So I'm just going to do a single line text. It doesn't require value because when we create an instance, a list item, this one is going to be left blank. Okay. So this is it. So now I'm going to go to the general settings and make sure I can see this list from the quick launch navigation pane on my left hand side. So once I go search it, I save it, and you can see I can get to that list from here. This is the list I just created, and if I click on new item, you see these are the fields that I've just created. But one thing that I don't want here is the automation status field here. I don't want to use it to manually populate this value here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide this this field from the new form and the edit form in SharePoint. Unfortunately, I don't think it's possible, and I haven't figured out a way to do that on my SharePoint site. So, but you can do that using the SharePoint Client SDK. So by using the SharePoint SDK module that I've just created on version 2.0, you can easily do that by using the set SP list field visibility command. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this script. I'm going to give my password here. Okay. Now if we go back in here, as you can see that that list field has been hidden. Okay. Now let's create the SharePoint workflow. So by doing that, we have to use SharePoint Designer. Once you install that SharePoint Designer on your desktop, you can just connect that to SharePoint site by providing the URL. It's going to prompt you for the password. Okay, so firstly, I'm going to find the list I just created. I'm going to create a new workflow, and the workflow name is going to be called Oracle Perf Template Workflow. And click OK. Okay. Okay, so now I get to this designer page for the workflow. Firstly, I'm going to rename the stage. I'm going to call trigger Azure Automation Runbox. And then I can start designing, putting the steps into this workflow. So the first one I'm going to be doing is to create to build a dictionary variable. So this is the step where I gather all the input from the SharePoint list. So the first field I'm going to capture is called display name, And for the value, I'm going to go to the current list item and choose the display name field as a string. The next one is going to be called description. Next one is enabled, and this is a Boolean value. And this is the field. And the next one is called counter name. Oops. And query. Return column name. Target, again, is another string type. Query interval, next one, is an integer. This field here. And I also need to pass in the excuse me, the SharePoint SharePoint list item ID and the list title. So the Runbox knows where to write the result back to. So for the SharePoint list item ID, that is under the current item and under the ID field. And the next one is list title, and this one will be under workflow context and the list name. Okay, so now I'm building this to a dictionary variable. I'm just going to call it dictionary, which is fine. And then the next step I'm going to be doing here is to call a HTTP web service. And this is where I need a webhook URL. Just going to paste in here. And the method is post. And I'm going to place the dictionary variable in the HTTP body. And at the transition stage, because there's only one stage in here, I'm just going to go to the end of workflow and save. Okay. So now, if I go back, so okay, so I'm going to untick the box. So this workflow should not be manually started and should be started automatically when a new item is created. And I'm going to click on publish. Now if I go back in here, should be able to see that. Yep, here we go. So when the item is created, published. Okay. I think now it's ready for test. So let's give it a test. Let's create a new item. I'm just going to call it a test Oracle perf rule. I'm testing the SharePoint workflow counter name. It's going to call order count, and the query I'm going to provide a query here, make sure there's no space. And the return column name is order underscore count. And the root target, I'm just going to pick instance, which is fine. And the query interval, I'm going to change that to say 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes, and create save. So once it's created, let's refresh. All right, let's go back to my Azure Automation. You see a runbook job has been created and it's been placed as queued. So then within few seconds, my hybrid worker is going to pick up this job and start executing that in my on-prem environment. So this is probably just going to take a few seconds. Right. So a few things you can check in here. You can go to the event logs. And there's on hybrid worker, there's going to be one called Microsoft underscore SMA folder. Go to operational, so you'll be able to see that if there's anything been picked up by this runbook, by this hybrid worker. And because I have two, I'm connected to the other one. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Nothing has been done on this one. Let's check it in here again. Still queued. So while we're waiting for this one to be executed, let's Mark, can you unmute everyone and see if anyone has got any questions? So how do I do that? Yep. Okay, so I'm unmuting everyone now. Has anyone got any questions? Right, yeah, there's a SP1 that when I installed SharePoint Designer, I also installed SP1 on that, and it seems to be working with me. So, yep. Okay, so now since I think it start running the workflow, the runbook now. Yep. So now it's just running, so will probably take another 30 seconds or so to get that. So, and then one thing that I want to point out is that sometimes um, when you create a runbook in Azure Automation, you can turn on verbose logging. In here, just go to all settings and then logging and tracing. You can turn on verbose logging, but please make sure that in your production environment you turn that off. Sometimes I found the workflow execution time can increase dramatically when you turn on verbose login. So sometimes when a runbook should only take 30 seconds or a minute to run, can take a lot longer. So I was preparing another runbook for a presentation. I'm going for a SU presentation. I'm doing with Pizerga, and when I did a runbook in here, that the runbook can sometimes takes about 30 minutes to run, but when I turn off verbose login, it only takes a minute or two to complete. So just want to point out here that it's good when you are troubleshooting, but when everything is done and dusted, please turn that off. Otherwise, it's going to take a lot longer. Okay, still running. See, for other outputs will be this appeared here, but for everything, if you want to just see absolutely everything, including the verbose login, it's going to be in here. Okay, now this is done. It's completed. So if I and you see the automation status becomes completed, and when I go to this is the display form, you see that it's complete as well. But if I go edit it, you won't be able to see that the status field because of hidden from the both edit view and also the new view. So this is a method you can use to hide, to prevent people from inputting to any fields. Okay, and then now you can see that this one has been created in your Ops Manager environment. And then when I click on it to open it, so this is the input I putting in for my SharePoint. It's enabled by default, and this is how the parameters for this particular perf rule. Okay. Okay, so this concludes my demo for today. I think just about, just it's good timing as well.